Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into the JBX YouTube channel. Today we've got something a little different. We're going to be doing time capsules. So a time capsule is something where you'd put some items in to a container, anything really, as long as it can sort of be preserved. And a lot of times you hide it for somebody else to find, or it could be for your future self to find. So there's a lot of different examples sort of throughout time of time capsules. So, would you consider an Egyptian tomb a time capsule? Yeah, certainly in its own right. All of these relics and historical documentations of Egyptian life, like that's totally cool. You take a look at, could it be something like finding the lost city of Atlantis? Well, possibly. We don't really know until it's sort of found. Is it really about finding something that's lost, or is it more about leaving something behind, right? And if we're the ones sort of creating it, we need to think about both of those elements. We want to think about the things that we put into our time capsule, as well as what they want to pull out of it, right? You find this great time capsule, you're excited to get in there, and you find that it's a bunch of moldy papers that don't really have anything. Like those sort of things have been found where people have left time capsules of newspapers and such. And, you're like, yeah, it's a newspaper. That's kind of cool. But like people want to find something else in it. So that's why in our kits, we're going to try and stuff full of art, interesting drawings. Now, if it's left for yourself, you're going to be, when you get into that time capsule in the future, whatever time you set, you can totally go, oh, I remember this particular picture, or someone's pulling it out going, I knew that person, they made this, and it seems really neat. They may not have even known that you had left it, or you can totally schedule it and say, okay, at this time, I'm going to have this open, and there you go. People, you leave something for them to find and be engaged with. These are totally fun. They can be historical sort of relics. You can make them whatever you want them to be in your kit. Okay, so some other, interesting examples of people finding like treasure hidden in their backyard, right? That's totally happened where people have found, bags of coins that were lost or buried there, and it just happens they never came back for it. Speaking of never coming back for it, there was a really nice sort of condo or apartment in Paris, and the woman had left Paris and never went back in her lifetime, and it was perfectly preserved for nearly 50 years. No one had been into the room at all. It was almost like a gigantic room that was its own time capsule. Everything was left just the way that it was. Some other examples of time capsules could be something simple as taking a message in a bottle, throwing it in the water, and someone else could find your message, years and years into the future. Let's hope it's not about, you being saved or something, and they find it many years later. That wouldn't be funny. But leaving an X marks the spot map or something like that where someone had buried treasure. Like those sort of things are what, stories and movies are made of. So these fun little things that are trigger our imagination, and we can be a part of that. Another really fun thing that people leave in time capsules is, as I said before, money. And one that I had heard of was they found a time capsule. It had money in it. And what they did is they took coins of their date and put it in with it and reburied the time capsule or re-hid it for other generations to find. Did you know the CN Tower has a time capsule? And that one's nearing for us to open. That'll be a lot of fun. There is actually an international time capsule society with 15,000 registered time capsules. That's really cool. Did you know that Apple had buried a time capsule and was hoping to find it, and they actually lost it with ground shift and things like that? A giant tube had sort of, let's say, been misplaced. They dug around for it for a while and couldn't find it, and they ended up finding it sort of several years later. And Yeah, that was fun. Look it up. It's good. I'm purposely being a little bit vague on these sort of things because there's something that you could Google yourself or YouTube videos, all sorts of different things about interesting time capsules that might give you some extra inspiration as well. They are their stories, and I'm just sort of giving you little teasers on them. Did you also know that we have time capsules in outer space? Did you know that they made a movie, full out production, that isn't supposed to be open for 100 years? So they put it in a time capsule, 2015, and then they're going to open it 2115 and play it in theaters and make a big production out of it. And that's it. They're going to see what it looks like in the fairly new future. All right. Furthermore, we go into places like British Columbia, a little bit closer to home, and several buildings in sort of the old part of Victoria, they've taken out sort of corner blocks of the building to sort of repoint or re-cement sort of around those blocks to do repairs on the buildings, and they keep finding objects, messages, little gifts for the people behind one of the blocks in the corner front part of the house. And if you go online, you can actually see maps of where these buildings have been sort of touched up and found, and there seems to be a large cluster in just this one area, mostly because a lot of the same builders were used to build a lot of the rest of the city. So there's a lot of different things that people can do and leave behind. Other fun stories are musicians writing entire songs and hiding it places, usually places where they used to work. Jack White from the White Stripes, he would hide songs in furniture. He used to work at a furniture store, and these pieces of furniture are actually quite collectible. Some time capsule stuff more close to where I live in Almont, Ontario. They have found time capsules at the Textile Museum. Totally had no idea it was there, recovered, and now it's on display in the museum, which is pretty cool. At Holy Name of Mary Catholic School, they have a time capsule that students open up every few years and put new things in it and rediscover, and it seems to be sort of a tradition that they have in the school. And if you think about it, a time capsule for an artist could essentially be your sketchbook, right? Your sketchbook is a record of where you were creatively, where you were in your skill level, and you can see yourself progress through sketchbooks. It triggers all sorts of creativity and things that you can put into it. So time capsules can be a very important way for you to express yourself creatively, as well as thinking about the future, right? Thinking about the present, thinking about the past. All of these things sort of come together to give you, hopefully, some more inspiration. I just want to show you a few things and give you 10 ideas that you can do with your time capsule to try and make it sort of interesting. Time capsules, again, can be quite therapeutic, exciting, the passage of time. You can communicate with yourself in the future or with other people. It's a really fun thing. You want to keep in mind that any of these contents, you don't really want to put anything of value in it. It is quite possible that you're never going to see this time capsule again. You might forget where you've put it. You might move and forget about it. You could bury it for other people. Something that you could think about is making your time capsule over a year, right? You can get, like we have this book here, Time Capsule of Notes. This doesn't need to be all filled out in one day, right? You can totally take this and fill it out over a year if you wanted to. Just writing special quotes, notes, things that happened to you throughout that year, and put them into your time capsule. We can always decorate the outside. You can paint or draw, use markers, whatever you want for here. You'll find a little sticky note, and it has some photo corners, and these are archival photo corners, and you could totally take that and stick it to these sort of sheets. There's also some glue. We've got all sorts of pens, and that way you can do really nice artwork or designs, things like that. We're using all of this paper is all archival paper. That means it's acid free. It's not going to yellow or degrade over time. So the only thing that sort of could ruin this is maybe if it got wet, a bit of moisture or something like that. Okay, so time to get into our 10 ideas that you can add to your kit. So think about in the future, what would you want to open in your time capsule? What do you think is going to be something that, is going to be like, I can't wait to get into it? Or someone finds it and opens it and be really excited to see what's inside. No, don't put chocolate in it in the future. Don't put anything that you can eat or that's perishable, that it's going to go bad. Try and stick to things or objects that you can put inside. Nothing with batteries. So a lot of people like to drop in technology from the past, an old cell phone or things like that, and even see sort of contacts and stuff that could be in there in the future. Maybe even leave some old photos on that phone. Perhaps leave the charger with it. That might be a good idea. So, leaving technology behind for the future, and if something happens to it, it wasn't that much of a loss. Art. You definitely want to put art inside it. Mine's going to have a cup that I've thrown on the pottery wheel. I'm going to put that in there. And then just keep stuffing it with things over a span of time. The second one would be letters. Letters to yourself. Maybe letters to family. Okay? Maybe collecting letters from your family to put in there. You never know. These messages could mean a lot more to you in the future, locked inside a time capsule, and you pull them out later, and you might recur memories that you had forgotten and that sort of thing, especially for maybe people that aren't even in your life anymore. And it might be a good way to sort of reconnect with them or to remember them. That brings us to number 3, which would be future predictions. Do you think we're going to have flying cars? What do you think that we're going to have in the future that perhaps we don't have now? Or hopes? Or what do you see for yourself in 5 years, 10 years, and that sort of thing? Put it all in your notes. Okay? That would be good thing for that book to have. Next would be family photos, right? Taking a picture of people. It's always nice to go, look at you had that hair back in 2021. Around the town. Towns and things like that change, and they change sort of slowly as you see them today. You see them every day. You don't really notice sort of houses that come up or new paint jobs on buildings, or how the downtown has changed in your time. But when you sort of distance it by 10 years, you start to notice, you're like, wow, that really did change in that time. And those are really fun things to see. Your house, even your room, places that you stayed, right? These places change over time. Hopefully they get better and better. The next one would be a newspaper. All right, stuffing in a newspaper. Here in Elmont, we've got the Hum. The Hum would be a perfect addition to your time capsule. Okay, local news, artsy paper, very fun, clever, tasteful. This is perfect item to drop in. Next would be a bucket list. Things that right now, a bucket list is things that you've always wanted to do. I have a list of bands that I can't wait to go out and see again. I'm hoping to sort of scratch off a few of those from my bucket list. So my bucket list is, I want to go skydiving. I want to create this best piece of art I've ever done. And those could also be somewhat in your predictions, I suppose. But a bucket list really gives you sort of an idea, a checklist, and in the future you pull it out, you can see how many you've checked off. Pretty good one. Other things for you to include, we've
giving you some coins. All right, so these, when funny story on these ones here, we had actually sort of delayed the kit a bit to try and get these. The mint hadn't produced them, and when we got our hands on them, they weren't allowed to go out to you until a certain date. We had already sort of packed them in the kits and got them in special. We had pre-ordered through a coin guy, and actually Sean at Alliance Coin, he's the one who helped us out to get these. So yeah, shout out to Sean for making this happen and making them look absolutely fantastic. And really this is a good piece to put in there. These are the kind of things that you want to see in the future. And again, as I said, in that other kit, when it was dug up, they reburied it with the items that were there. Another one that I gave as the example, and they put new coins in with it, so then you get to see all the years that it was opened at as part of the history, which I thought was really cool. So make sure that goes in your kit, your time capsule book, notes and things like that. Other fun things that you could put in there, you could put a little memory stick of music that you liked of this time period. You can always add photos to that. Memory sticks overall are pretty good against fighting the elements and that sort of thing. I don't know how many times I've accidentally put mine through the wash, little pocket key fob kind of thing. And yeah, so keep that in mind as you're working on your things, that you can really include anything that you can think of. Just make sure it doesn't go bad, okay? Closing up your time capsule, what we want to do is not just throw everything in here like I did. What we want to do is to take it, and your kit came with a clear plastic bag. So making sure that that's sort of cut up nicely if you accidentally ripped the bag or whatnot. Find another sort of thick plastic bag, and you want to put the items in and wrap it tight and then stick it into your container. So it's meant to be wrapped in plastic, then stuck inside. And these lids tap on firmly. They're a really strong sort of watertight lid, and that should last for quite some time. Yeah, so thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and please look more into time capsules. They're really fun, creative, and I hope you have a good time with them. Thanks.